Hey, good afternoon. This is Ed Roy. We do have some heavy thunderstorms that have popped up in the area, and I thought you might like to take a look at what's going on as far as the weather is concerned. Let me see if we can get this to do for us. Here we go. Here are the thunderstorms. Right now, there is a severe thunderstorm warning, and the reason for that was the area that's right in the Cecilia, in the vicinity of Cecilia. It looks like that thunderstorm has decreased somewhat in intensity, so that's a good thing. Let's see if I can arrange this just a little bit differently. There we go. And this particular cell is moving toward the northeast, and it's right now just north of I-10 over the basin. It's in the Atchafalaya Basin, just south of southeast of Krotz Springs, just southwest of Livonia. If you can make that out in the thing, um, it looks like we are going to continue with this kind of weather for the next several hours, actually. So I think that's going to be something to watch. Right now, we don't have any severe in the area itself in the vicinity. As I said, there was a severe cell just a few minutes ago over the Cecilia area. It's moving toward the northeast at about 55 miles an hour. So let's go and look at some of the other stuff that's there now. I'm going to widen out this view just a little bit. There's some more thunderstorm activity coming up through the Karen Crow area. We'll look at that in just a second in a little more detail. And also, we'll concentrate on this cell that's now moving toward the Maraguay area. So the mosquitoes are going to get wet, as it turns out. Let's see, I'm going to put this on halt for just a second and switch the Doppler over to a zoom in on the sunset area. We'll change this over to velocities. Now, what I'm seeing here are some fairly decent winds between Cankton and just north of Karen Crow around the parish line. There should be some winds there. Let's see if we can clock those and see what they are. Up now, I realize this is at 6,000 feet off the surface, so there are going to be some winds underneath this, but there are some elevated winds in the parish line area just to the northeast of Karen Crow, northeast of Karen Crow, just to the southwest. This is about where 182 crosses, and it is. It's here's 182. Here's Dead Man's Curve up here, and this is where we're seeing some of the stronger winds, 42 and a half miles an hour. And again, realize this is upstairs. This is up around 6,000 feet, some 38-mile-an-hour winds there. Let's back this out a little bit, and we'll take a look. So right now, if I had to say, I'd say the heaviest threat of any kind of wind damage would be right here in the Cankton Sunset area, moving northeastward. And then we have some more winds here just to the west of Maraguay. Let's look back in this. That's the back end of this thunderstorm, so that's not surprising. That will continue to move toward the northeast at about 40 miles an hour. Not severe right now, but certainly a thunderstorm that bears watching. We do have a tornado watch for the next 365 minutes. If before you get a headache trying to figure that out like I would, that's until 9 o'clock this evening. I suspect after several hours, this southwestern portion of the box will be canceled, but we'll see. Let's take a look. Here's the end of the rain shower activity, I think, and I don't see too much more developing back here. Here's a stationary frontal system that's kind of draped across the north central part of Louisiana. Here's Fort Polk radar, Fort Johnson radar, I guess it is now. And that's stretched on toward the northeast. Also, some heavy thunderstorms. If you're watching this offshore, some heavy thunderstorms out in the Gulf of Mexico. Everything moving along that frontal boundary and sliding up toward the northeast. I'm going to try now to see if we have any comments on here. Let's see. I don't use this too often, so I don't know if I'm doing it properly, but we shall see. Comments. Yeah, there we go. Hello, Suzanne. How are you? Good to see you, or good to have you on board with us. If your comment just says Facebook user, and you're welcome, Facebook user, for keeping us up to date. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. It's my pleasure to do that. Let me tell you what you could do for this. If you visit steamyard.com/Facebook, it will ask you to give us permission to use your name in this chat. That's a one-time deal, and nobody else will get that. So if you can do that, that would be just wonderful. And I'll know who the comments are coming from. Let's see if we have any more comments here. While we're doing that, I'm going to zoom back in. And notice that Slidell radar is red here. That means it's out of service. They're actually moving that radar unit over to Hammond. I'm going to try, by the way, not that anybody's asked, but I'm going to try to get the National Weather Service to put another radar somewhere south of the Franklin Jeanerette area. There's a hole in the coverage, and moving the radar to Hammond is not going to help that hole. We need, for hurricane coverage and hurricane warning, we need another National Weather Service S-band radar down here around Jeanerette and Franklin. So let's zoom in now again and see what we have. Okay. Arneville, we're having a nice big old heavy thunderstorm right here. Courtney, if you're around, please give us an observation from that area. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, as I said, we're broadcasting live right now on Facebook and I think on YouTube. So hopefully you got a bit of a warning or some sort of notification. You're very welcome, Facebook user. Okay, let's get back to the business at hand here. I want to look inside this. Here, just to the west of Arneville, we have some winds in here. Let's see what they show right now currently. Yeah, 42. And again, this is upstairs at about a mile off the surface. Because the radar does curve, the Earth does curve, the radar signal goes straight. So we're not going to see near the surface. That's why the observations are so important. If, for example, you get hail at your location, please let me know about it. Or if you get excessive winds at your location, I'd be interested in that as well. Let's see. Some heavy thunderstorms near Zachary and Baker. This is, let's see if we can zoom in on that just a little bit. Notice the pronounced lightning here around that area. And sure enough, there are some winds here about 53, 54 miles an hour. And that's again near the Baker area. This thunderstorm is moving toward the northeast at 38 and has pretty good probability of hail, but small hail. And it does have rotation. So that's what we're looking at right in there. Now I'm going to come back over to Acadiana. Let's see. Okay, so we'll go back to the rain mode. This is the velocity of the raindrops in here, which tells us if there's any spin in this. And Boy, this is a heavy thunderstorm near Arnaville. Andrea, hello. You're very welcome, ma'am. Andrea says, thanks for showing and explaining this. My pleasure, really. There we go. Okay, I'm going to just let the radar run here. I'm getting a phone call, so I'm going to let this run for just a little bit while I take this phone call. I'll be right back.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, I'm back. I learned that when I get a call from Shelley, I take it, and that's important. So I'm back here. Let's take a look at this and see what we have going on. I'm going to set this in motion again. Heavy thunderstorm went through Karen Crow. As another one just between Karen Crow and Kankton right now, headed toward the northeast. We're about out of the woods with this, and that severe thunderstorm that was in the Cecilia area earlier has has moved on, excuse me, to the northeast, and it is not a problem at the moment. But Arnaville is now just under the gun for this thing. So we shall see. I think most of this stuff is moving on out. Which is not too much of a problem. I'm going to let this run and just kind of watch it with you, if you don't mind. Heaviest thunderstorm now activity in the Arnaville, Port Barre, headed toward Krotz Springs area. Cecilia, you may get another little dose of rain. Now let's see how we're doing here. I'm playing with the controls here, trying to figure this out a little better. This is actually probably the best thing to do, or I can take myself out of the picture completely. But it's nice to be able to show you what we have here. Let's see what alerts we have for severe thunderstorm warnings. Right now we have one in effect in the country, and that's in Lafourche, Louisiana. I'll tell you what, let's go over and take a look at that. So I'm going to back the radar out. And there it is. That's our severe thunderstorm that's now in the Lafourche area. I'm going to go inside and take a look at the rotation or the potential rotation for this thing, and I don't see any right here. It's a little bit difficult because the radar is so far away we're still looking at the National Weather Service radar from Slidell. Tell you what, let's do. Let's switch on over to Mobile, and that's going to give us a much better perspective on this thunderstorm. Okay, here's now we'll go back to the vertical velocity of the velocities, and I think we can see what's causing the concern. Here's a 44-mile-an-hour wind headed toward the radar antenna, and here's a 58. We should see some. No, this is all headed toward there, so there's no rotation, so to speak, in this thing. At least I'm not seeing any. It does say it's got mesoscale rotation, but as I said, I'm not seeing it from that radar perspective. I'm looking in here for a positive value. Yeah, I don't see it. I just don't see it. But this is being talked about as a special weather statement. Not a severe thunderstorm, but something to look out for. Gusty winds, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and that's probably what we were seeing in here. Eventually, these winds above the surface will work their way down to the surface if you give them enough time. Okay, so let's go back to our area. We'll switch back to the National Weather Service Doppler S-band radar at Lake Charles. And we'll also switch back to the reflectivity mode of the how hard is it raining mode. I'm going to remove this. Okay, so now this thunderstorm is centered from Cancton back toward Arnaville, and this will be moving toward the northeast. I'll put it in motion so you can see it. But notice that this thunderstorm, because of the coloring, we can tell this is not as intense or not as heavy as this one that's over in the northeast of Arnaville. Let's look at the insides of that one. And you can see that there's a little wind with this as well. Let's see what we have. Again, the winds are staying in the 40 to 50 mile an hour category. And also remember, this is up at about a mile above the surface. Not quite as intense back toward the Sunset area. A lot of people look at this and think these are surface winds. They're not. These are winds of the. Actually, what we're doing is the Doppler is measuring the particle speeds or the raindrop speeds in the thunderstorm. So these raindrops are headed away from the radar at 46.98 miles an hour, 47 miles an hour. And this is up, as I said, about 6,500 feet. Let's look and see if we have any more comments. The DX Association thing tomorrow. Yes, I will be there. And we have a ham radio operators festival in Rain. Hey, Steve, good to talk with you. Glad you're here. We have a Acadiana DX Society, or ham radio operators that like to work foreign lands, if you will. We're going to have a ham fest tonight and tomorrow over in Rain. And I get the pleasure of doing a little weather thing with some folks from the National Weather Service over in Lake Charles. We invited them to do a Skywarn training for the hams. Incidentally, I should probably tell you that we have if you haven't seen it already on Facebook, well, you probably have seen it if you're here right now, but you might spread the word for anybody who's interested in Acadiana weather, especially when there's severe weather around. We try to do this and point out where the dangerous weather is on a very real-time basis. And I'm going to let this run here just a little bit and put this back in motion. A little thunderstorm right over the center of Lafayette right now, headed northeast. Yeah, actually, it's moved on. It was right over the center. But as you can see, the rain is ending right here for the moment. So once this batch of showers gets through, then we're going to be okay for a while. And I don't think we'll have any problems. And if we do, we'll get back on here. Tornado watch in effect until 9 o'clock this evening. But as I said, I think before too long, this southwestern edge of that box will be dropping off, because most of the active weather, as you can see here, is toward the northeast of us. And let's see now, there's pretty heavy-duty thunderstorms right in here. This is Magnolia, Mississippi, Macomb, Mississippi, and Magnolia just south of it. Where you going? I'm going to Magnolia, Mississippi. Son, gonna drink a mint julep, I think. But let's go back to our area. And we are on let's go back to the Lake Charles radar. That'll show it to us. So we're not going to stay here too much longer. We're going to get out of Dodge once this little batch of stuff gets through here. I was going to tell you, if you have some friends that may be interested in Acadiana weather, whenever the weather gets severe, hopefully I'll be around somewhere near a computer and we can do this discussion of what's going on. As you can see, let me point in the right direction here. You can see there's the Doppler radar from National Weather Service over in Lake Charles. We also like to collect observations. If you know of some bad weather that's in your area, and by bad weather I mean tornadic activity, any kind of property damage, hail, very strong winds, very intense rain or flooding, if you will pass that information along in the comments, then we'll pass it along to National Weather Service. We have a direct link to them over in Lake Charles. And they really appreciate that because, as I said, the radar signal, once it goes from Lake Charles to Lafayette, the lowest weather returns that radar can see are about a mile or 6,000 feet or so above the surface. So it's really helpful for the meteorologist over in Lake Charles to know what's going on down below that cell maybe that we're looking at or whatever. So if you don't mind, let's do that. Let's see. I'm going to put this up here. Two, it's important that if I can know who you are and where you are, you go to steamyard.com/Facebook, and I'm requesting access to your Facebook name and photo. Once you accept, future comments will show your name and photo in our chat. And so that's what that's about. And we, of course, won't violate your privacy, because that's important. Let's go back to comments. There we are. I'm going to take a look at this on Facebook real quick. Lee. And we should be broadcasting live. On Facebook. I was just thinking of put something on Facebook that I thought was funny. Best relationship advice: make sure you're the crazy one in the relationship. That makes perfect sense to me. Let's see here. Yeah, we are broadcasting live on Facebook, so that's good. We can see. Oh, it was okay. I can see the names here on on Facebook, but I can't see them unless you put them in otherwise on the chat thing. So I'm going to go back to the chat, and we can take this banner off now. Okay, so I think things have quieted down a little bit. We're going to get out of Dodge. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for participating. As I said, if you don't mind, share this information with your friends and get them to just put their I don't know how you sign up. I think you just click the button, but that should give them a little annunciation or a little bulletin when we start to broadcast live when there is severe weather. So hope you have a good rest of the day. If the weather turns severe again, I'll come back and we can look at the radar together. But until then, thanks for being a member of Acadiana SkyTrack. See you later. Bye-bye.